Welcome to the Onion Buns. Andrew, aka Calfier here. So we're going to go into the third edition of Exodus videos. In the last video, we touched on the Celestials, the Elohim, and the Green Worlds. So let's dig into those. What are they? How do they affect this game? What can we expect from them? So, starting with the Celestials, humanity's greatest enemy. As a result of time dilation, 25,000 years of evolution separate those now arriving in Centauri on arc ships from Earth, eventually finding and following the green signals sent up by those first human inhabitants, who found the Centauri cluster and claimed it as humanity's new home. Over the millennia, they have changed. Those early humans have been replaced by something more, a diverse range of alien people collectively known as the Celestials. To us, they are unrecognizable. To them, we are barely more than animals. Primitive, backwards, and inferior. Together, these countless individuals, cultures, comprise a massive volatile cluster spanning civilization, and there is no room for us in their unfathomable grand designs. Or is there? The Crown Celestials. The Imperial Celestials of the Crown Dominion, specifically the Crown Knights, are the oldest of all of the Celestials. Crown Knights are those Celestials who have chosen war as their preferred skill. Sport and art form. Their attitude towards war is straightforward and fierce. It is, after all, easy enough to extol the virtues of courage against the enemy when you have all the high-tech protections that celestial engineering can gift you with. So these are the Celestials right here that they're talking about, and these are the Crown Knights that they're talking about. And you've seen them in a couple of videos now. Again, I'm going to go back to Mass Effect. These guys sound a lot like the Krogan to me, but with better technology. Actually, a better example might be the Collectors, because they had the technology and they were brutal. These, I don't know if there's I guess the Asari matriarchs, but I don't know if that's really a great comparison with Mass Effect. And one thing I did read is not all Celestials are evil. So this very well might be a peaceful or at least friendly Celestial, whereas in that video you see that big massive ship going after the little ship. Those are definitely evil Celestials out to kill everybody. And we're just going to have to learn what they are and everything. So next up, they mentioned the Elohim. Now, I didn't know who they were, honestly. I hadn't heard it before the last video. The centuries-long formation wars were the most violent, chaotic, and destructive era in Centauri history. Hundreds, possibly thousands of habitable worlds were destroyed as the celestial dominions, which we just saw, battled each other for control of the cluster. Billions of lives were lost. Entire civilizations were wiped out. But from the ashes of this devastating conflict arose the Elohim, the most powerful and technologically advanced beings in the galaxy. Most of what we know about the Elohim is speculation based on myths and legends. But even now, more than 15,000 years later, their influence still shapes and defines Centauri. Celestials and humans alike are bound by the laws of the Elohim, a small but inviolable collection of fundamental rules, treaties, and agreements meant to prevent the atrocities of the formation wars from ever happening again. As important as the laws are, however, they pale in comparison to the other great achievements of the Elohim, the gates of heaven. A network of pathways linking all the various systems of the cluster. Before the gates, interstellar journeys were dangerously unpredictable and prohibitively expensive and inefficient. Travel and trade between the systems was limited and unreliable. The celestial dominions were isolated enclaves with little communication or interaction with each other. One of the primary factors that contributed to the brutality of the formation wars. The gates of heaven changed everything. Though still bound by the speed of light, ships are now able to navigate the vast ocean of space across the cluster using established charts and automated navigational calculations. Even more crucial, the gates allow for rapid acceleration to and deceleration from light speed. significantly reducing the length of time spent on each journey. Interstellar trade and travel has flourished, becoming a cornerstone of every celestial dominion and human inhabited world. The Elohim are universally revered across Centauri, even by the celestials. Without the gates, the travelers themselves could not exist. Exodus would be virtually impossible. The risks and uncertainties of launching blindly into the void of space would be too great for even the bravest explorers. Whether meant to or not, the Elohim gave our kind a fighting chance. Mysteriously, after creating the miracles of the gates, the Elohim vanished from the galactic record. Some believe they ascended to a state of pure energy, shedding their corporal shells. Others claim they left Centauri to explore the furthest corners of the galaxy. Perhaps they are still present among us and using advanced technology to hide their presence from lesser beings. Or maybe they suffered the inevitable fate of all empires and collapsed into extinction thousands of years ago. But though the Elohim are seemingly gone, their power and authority remains. Those who dare violate the laws suddenly find their ships are no longer able to access the gates of heaven, the ultimate punishment. Cut off from interstellar trade, economies collapse, scientific advancement is stunted. Existing technology begins to degrade as resources become scarce. Depending on the crime, this isolation can last anywhere from a few years to a few centuries, a crippling blow for any society, if it even survives. And what of the Elohim themselves? Were they truly the selfless, altruistic, godlike beings the legends contend? Or were the gates not a gift, but rather a way to establish dominance and control across the entire cluster? Are the Elohim still here, watching events unfold from some secret hiding place and administrating justice to those who defy their will? Or are the gates controlled by the ghosts of some ancient artificial intelligence? If they are still here, what do they think of humanity and our struggle to rise up and find our place alongside the celestials? We may never know the truth, but for now the Elohim seem to tolerate us, at least, as long as we play by their rules. So the more I read about these guys, the more I'm reminded of the Reapers and the Protheans. Kind of combining them, it seems like. But that's not a bad thing. I keep drawing comparison to Mass Effect because, in my opinion, Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3, they're the pinnacle of sci-fi RPGs. So if this can even be comparable to Mass Effect, they have a home run on their hands. So lastly, we have the Green Worlds. After 10 minutes of pitch darkness, amber emergency lighting glowed into sudden life. Internal comms were dead too. That meant a trek through the Hammercross clustered living space so he could complain to Amin, or at least explain why he wasn't getting his assigned tasks done. The trip gave him plenty more to worry about. The main corridor, once a gleaming wonder of polished metal and information screens, was a slum now. All the walls had been opened up. Some of them were active repair sites. Oil-stained crews squirreling into the Ark's inner world to repair the vital systems or salvage for parts. Elsewhere, gaps were covered with cloth awnings and families lived in the cramped spaces behind. No matter how many people the colonials shipped down to the world below, there was always too many scraping a living in the Hammercross deteriorating spaces. At the admin office, there was a long queue of people with similar complaints. Every non-vital system in the area in the ship was experiencing rolling blackouts, and sometimes worse. The Colonials militia were going down the line, questioning, sending people on their way, filtering the line down to something manageable. The important people with important problems. Evan reckoned he didn't fall into that category, but he braced himself to stand his ground. Long-range comms, he told them. I need dedicated power. The soldiers, in uniform and body armor, looked at him unsympathetically. So does everybody. No, listen, he said. I'm crew, jabbing a finger at his insomnia and trying to hide the blue flash that said he was only an apprentice. I get twice as many failures as anyone else. I haven't been able to scan for signals for weeks now, ever since old Halagren had been taken away, leaving Evan with no mentor to teach him the job he couldn't do anyway. Long-range comms, one of them asked. Doesn't sound urgent to me. What were you going to hear? I have a job, Evan insists. What am I supposed to do? You could always volunteer on planet, one of them said. Plenty of jobs bunks down there. Evan retreated to the cramped cubbyhole that served as his living space. No more than a bunk set into the maintenance duct and curtained off for minimal privacy. There was no light there either, but that didn't impair the militia when they came with their torches and hauled him off to speak to Captain Fushka. Fushka was one of the Colonial's direct underlings, meaning someone Evan had no wish to ever have dealings with. She was a lean, compact woman with ragged scar along the line of her jaw. She got it, Evan had heard, when the Colonial had taken over from the chaotic infighting of the old command crew. Now she had him sitting in front of her desk as she worked through reports, kept him fidgeting, just so he could understand the balance of power between them, as though sending soldiers to fetch him didn't make that plain enough. Needless to say, her work or area had ample power. I understand you were kicking up a fuss at the office today, Apprentice Evan, she noted. Just want to do my job, he said. I've seen the latest proclamations. As of tomorrow, you'll be glad to hear that you don't need to do your job. Long-range comms is finally being discontinued. We can't spare the space or the power. But, although he had been expecting as much, Lieutenant, it's the whole universe out there. What if someone's out there trying to tell us something? What if indeed, she smiled crisply. You ever wanted to go on planet, Evan? He froze. The answer was no. Nobody wanted to, though lots of people went. Those Colonial decided were a problem. Fushka smiled and stood abruptly. Let's go. I got a shuttle waiting. Just for me and you? Consider yourself privileged. The regular worker transports are standing room only. They'd called the world Emerald. Not poetic, merely descriptive. The greenest of green worlds. A world of life, carbon-based life, whose evolution had converged on Earth-style pathways. A green world of shallow seas and continents awash in ankle-deep water. A slick coating of algae from pole to pole. Gradients of unique species adapt to different latitudes. Indistinguishable to the human eye. All of it. The same odd color of vibrant green. Life in the outer stars. Life and even oxygen. Habitable world after the half-dozen dead rocks the Hammercross had discovered. Except it wasn't. Except that green hid a terrible secret. Why else would all the workers down here on the farm camp wearing respirators? Why did they look so sick? Some of that green was not the local variant. It was a variety of cyanide compounds. Emerald's biochemistry was suffused with it. All levels lethal to Earth life. The farm camp was trying to find a way to extract anything usable from the local flora. And thus far, all it done was kill a lot of people that the Colonial wanted dead. A service, but not one that went towards building much of a future. Fushka strode aside the camp, fully suited up to protect her from the poison-infused air. Evan, with just a mask and gloves, stumbled after her. They were headed to a long, low, prefabricated shack labeled as the infirmary. Unsurprisingly, every bed was full and half the floor was pallets. Dying workers shuddering out their last hours before seizures or cardiac arrest took them. And in the far corner, on no more than a blanket, was Hargan, Evan's former boss. The old man was in a bad way. He had never been strong, even up on the Ark. He was alert, though. His eyes glittered as he saw Fushka and Evan pick their way over to him. You won't talk to me, Fushka said flatly. Talk to him. Tell him what got you sent down here, with the unspoken threat in her voice. Or the kid gets it. Lackey, Hargan spat out at her. Bootlicker. Speak, Fushka insisted. What did you find, old man? Hargan looked at Evan. I'm sorry, boy. I didn't want you to die down here too. Sir, what is it? They'll kill you if you know. Evan gestured around them. He was here now anyways. How much worse could it get? Hargan sighed. There was a signal from another arc. From light years away. Green worlds, it said. Living worlds. Enough room for everyone. A new home for humanity. Everyone welcome. But that's wonderful, Evan exclaimed. Except Hargan was down here, so apparently it wasn't. I took it to the Colonial, the old man said. He was practically dancing all the way to his office. We were saved! Except he didn't want to hear it. He has control here. He has order. To move the Ark, that needs crew. That means change. Doing things differently. It means him sharing what's his. And so he sent me down here and made sure long-range comms were never up long enough to find the signal again, said Evan. And so you know, Hargan fixed Fushka with a sharp gaze. You happy in that knowledge, Captain? Because your commanding officer would rather condemn all of us to a slow death on this poisoned planet than go find the real green worlds that are out there. He'd rather be king of a pile of corpses. So what are you going to do? Are you going to keep taking his breadcrumbs and his orders? Or have you got the spine to mutiny? So someone out of sorry mess has a tomorrow to look forward to. So yeah, that's an excerpt out of the green worlds. It tells you what we kind of got to expect. It's just because it's green doesn't mean it's nice.
Colonel says the future of humanity lies somewhere among the stars. He says nothing is as important as finding new planets to call home. And I believe him. Alien worlds found to be habitable are the new frontier for humanity. As the ancestors once said, one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. But most are uninhabitable, or worse, deadly. Their atmospheres and ecologies more trouble than they're worth. Others, perhaps viable in theory, prove nothing more than desolate, hopeless wastelands. Some are even hostile. In fact, it often goes that the more beautiful the planet, the more sinister the threats it holds. The few that show fertile promise are made ready for terraforming, and their locations transmitted to the rest of the fleet. Since contact with the other arcs has gone cold, the Colonel insists the Hammercross set up a station here, on Emerald. He couldn't have known the planet would be toxic. Could he?
So there you go. That's our little bit of delving into the Exodus. There's so much more to come, but that gives you an idea into the Elohim, into the Celestials, and into Green Worlds, and the goal of the human race to try to expand into the stars, into space, the grand adventure. I'm sure there's got to be some habitable planets in this game. It can't all be poison, but it's something to keep in mind. It's like, as I said, the more beautiful the planet, the more deadly it is. And that makes sense, because the more beautiful it is, the more oxygen based it is, the more you're going to run into, well, like the big rock creature that was looking like a hill there in the video. So I get the feeling there's going to be a lot of exploring in this game. And that, make no mistake, that I'm thrilled about that. I love exploring. I loved exploring in Mass Effect. The exploration in Starfield was one of the things I liked about Starfield. And I'm still going to go back and play that game because there's just so much more to explore in it. I haven't finished exploring it. I'm not really interested in the outposts anymore or anything in Starfield, but I still want to explore it all. So anyway, that's the third video on Exodus. I really hope people are getting excited for this game. I know I am. The more I read into it, the more I listen to the audiobook, the more excited I get for it. And maybe I'm setting myself up for a fall, but I can't help myself. Plus, as I said in the first video, I have a lot of faith in Drew Capshire doing the writing, and I have a lot of faith in the pre-EA BioWare staff who run Archetype Entertainment and their designs. They've never let me down. It was after EA bought BioWare that I started getting let down by that company. Before EA, I loved Jade Empire, I loved Mass Effect, I loved Dragon Age Origins, I loved Knights of the Old Republic, I loved NWN, Neverwinter Nights. So I'm really pumped for this game. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. If you like this video, please leave a like, a subscribe, and a share. I'm trying to grow my channel, and a like, a subscribe, and a share does me great wonders. And don't think for a second I don't appreciate it, because I do. And I thank everyone that likes, subscribes, and shares. If you didn't like the video, leave a dislike. Always feel free to leave a comment. Don't worry, I don't swing my cane too strongly anymore if I dislike your comment. And as always, pew, 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 and shit. Thanks for watching. Bye.